Welcome back to the Out of the Desert podcast. I'm Brian Evans, joined as always by Ryan Harrington, and we're so glad you're here. It's been a little while. We did take a little break last week because of spring break and being out of town and things like that.
Yeah,
And this week we're a little behind schedule because somebody
it's me.
got a little sick.
It's me. It's me. It's me. It's me. So we went to the mountains last week. Okay. And my wife is going to watch this. So I love you, babe. I'm not a fan of the mountains. Okay. I'm just not. She loves it. She loves the mountains. She's got all these memories going up there as a kid, And so last time we went was I think 6 years ago, which is a great interval for me. Like every 6 years I can go back or something maybe. Anyway, so we went for spring break. We got a cabin. I felt like I had carbon monoxide poisoning the whole time because they had gas fireplaces that just smelled, and I can't smell. My nose doesn't work. So if I smell something is up. But we had a good time up there. We did they rode some horses. I don't ride horses. I don't know how to ride horses. I've tried to ride horses a couple of times. We won't really talk about what took place and the different keys that I ended up singing in when it was over with. But it's just not really my thing. Jackson enjoyed the pony rides. We went to the Titanic. It was cool. Did some shopping in the island. Rachel and my mom and Charlie went to the the Dolly Parton Stampede. Now we have dropped the Dixie. I'm pushing. This is me pushing the soapbox to another time. I did try to go to this one time on our honeymoon. True story here. On mine and Rachel's honeymoon, we went to the mountains. And so she told me, "You've got to go to the Stampede. You got to go to the Stampede. It's so amazing." And so we went. It's supposed to be like Civil War or something like that, North and South, and this guy's big display thing. So I go in there. It's this enclosed barn, essentially, that you sit there, and there's nothing but dirt everywhere with stadium seats and hay, all kind of hay everywhere, and horses. And I am highly allergic to hay, massively highly allergic to hay. Animals usually cause me problems as well. We're sitting there on our honeymoon, and I'm we're there maybe 10 minutes, and I'm going, oh man, it's kind of, whew. My shirt's getting soaked with sweat. I can't hardly breathe. I'm pulling out my asthma inhaler, realize it has 0 puffs left in it, and I'm like, oh man. And so I leave the arena, go to the bathroom to get away from it. I'm sitting there just dying. I cannot breathe. My asthma inhaler don't work. I'm sliding against the wall. I call her inside the arena. I'm like, we've got to go. I'm dying. So I almost died in the Stampede on our honeymoon, had a massive asthma attack. We have to go back to the mountains. They go to the Stampede. I don't go because I'm smart, at least smart enough not to do that. Anyway, while we're up there, Jackson gets sick on Thursday before we come home. I get sick on Friday on the way home. And we have remained sick for about a solid week. And as of a couple of days ago, we're all running 100, 101 fevers, hacking stuff up. Just bad situation. And then obviously I have asthma. And so we're going to try to do this earlier. I'm having to sit very far back from my microphone because otherwise all you would hear is, just dude's cosplaying as Darth Vader, which is my usual thing, but it's even worse right now. So that's my story. It's my fault. We went to the mountains. We got sick. I can't breathe. I'm sweating right now, probably running a fever, but we care so much about you getting out of the desert. Here we are. Sign me up.
You can't breathe because you're coming off being sick. I can't breathe because all the pollen outside. We're here. We're here though. We showed up.
You're the pollen too, man. like a walking bubble boy. Cue the music.
So the past few episodes we've been talking about, of course, we started out with what we're all about. We talked about our stories. We've gone into Joshua Tree, what Joshua Tree is, what we do. We heard from Chris Kendrick last episode a couple weeks ago about the beginnings. Very good episode. It was a great sit down with Chris, talking to him about it.
Yeah.
So kind of today we've talked about while we're in the desert, how to get out of the desert. So we're going to try to help you now that you're getting out of the desert or you're out of the desert. We want to give you some tools and some thought processes maybe to help you to be able to move forward. That's first step is once you leave the desert, you can't just set up camp there. We've mentioned many times before, you can't just set up camp at the edge of the desert. You have to keep moving forward to keep going. Mm-hmm. And so today we're going to kind of look at kind of new ground, finding new ground, how to get into new things. And the goal is to eventually start to flourish, to get out of the desert, the barren landscape, into the place that's flourishing. So Ryan, I guess I'll ask you this question. When you hear the word flourish and you hear it as far as new goals and stuff, like what kind of comes to mind with that?
Vision. Knowing what you want, obviously we're talking about, flourishing and having new things. You've got to do something new. I've always heard it said, if you want to have something new, you've got to do something new. If you want to keep experiencing the same things you've always experienced in life, keep doing the same things that you're doing. And then obviously that's that old saying, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. And then, so for me, it's, we've talked about your story. We've talked about my story. We've talked about, Chris's story. We've referenced different stories that maybe have come in that we've had several emails and stuff and different people we've talked with. There's a common theme here. The desert is, it hits you, something happens, life falls apart. There's an element of your desert journey that is essentially all survival, right? I mean, I'm just trying to get through. I don't know how I'm going to make it through. You're still trying to process what happened. What does this mean? The further you walk through the desert, you're still in that survival mode, but then you're also the processing mode of understanding of, okay, this might be why it happened, or I still will never know why this happened. Nevertheless, here I am. And that is a process that takes place in the desert. You get out, like you just mentioned, you don't stay there forever. You've got to keep going. But then it's where do you go? Like, where do you go past that? And there's a call to familiarity. We've mentioned that before of, well, this is what I've always known. So you just kind of wander back to that without taking into account that's also what possibly led you into the desert situation. So I think once you get on the other side of your desert, whatever that is, whether that's a monumental shift in your life, whether that's something in your family, something in your marriage, something spiritually, something vocationally, something medically, so whatever has happened, I think once you get to the other side of that, and it doesn't mean the remnants of that won't remain, but I think once you get to the other side, that survival mode is gone, processing has happened. Now it's time to put one foot in front of the other. I want my life to be better. You've got to set a vision for, okay, what's the rest of my life going to look like? Am I going to look like I used to look? Am I going to do what I used to do? I've got a fresh start now. That's the good thing about the desert is harsh, it's dry, it's dirty. But when you get on the other side of it, it's blank slate. And where do you want to go from here? And for me, it all starts with a vision.
That's good. Yeah, because, the Bible tells us without the vision, people perish. If you don't know where you're going, if you can't see where you're supposed to be going, then you're going to wander around aimlessly and you're going to go nowhere.
Well, and I'm glad you mentioned that. Proverbs 29:18, one of my favorite verses. So, if you've grown up in church at all, you've heard that said 100 times. Without a vision, people perish. The actual translation of that verse, if you actually look at the original language, is it's not so much without a vision, people perish. It's without a vision, people cast off restraint and wonder. That's literally what the text says in the original language, which is so much deeper than the notion of you die without a vision. You do die without a vision, but the original language tells you how you die. You wander around aimlessly and you cast off restraint, meaning I don't know where I want to go. I don't have a vision for my life. So anybody that tries to help me, I'm going to just go away. I'm mad, or I don't want to deal with you, or I'll do my own thing. You don't accept help. You don't accept people trying to speak into your life anymore. You just cast it all off because you no longer have a vision. And newsflash, coming out of the desert and going, well, I ain't going through that again. I'll do whatever I want to do the rest of my life. That's not a vision. That's a response. Okay. That's a middle finger to the universe. Okay. And if you want to live that way, knock yourself out. I think I think God maybe give us all a little bit of grace to kind of walk that road a little bit when you go through hard times, but you can't stay there. And again, that's part of that vision. Where do you want to go? I knew for me, my whole life, obviously my story changed. I was behind a pulpit in some way or form from the time I was 18, 19 years old. And when everything fell apart for me, I'm 37, almost 38, almost 20 years of doing that. And it was like, oh, what do you want to do? And so I remember being in the desert and those calls of familiarity, people had heard, well, oh, he's new ministry. Oh, he was pretty successful. Hey, you want to come be our youth pastor? You want to come do this? And I did try some of that while I was walking through some stuff. And it felt, for the first time in my life, it felt foreign. It was like, oh, wait a minute. And I don't think it wasn't that God couldn't use me in that, or that God was necessarily done with me in that role specifically. But in that time, God was trying to show me something else. And I kind of learned it. But in that process, God would use that desert experience to bring us, and essentially now was Joshua Tree. And it's just funny that a desire in my heart pre-desert was for the church to be more hands-on with the community, to be the hands and feet of Christ, to roll their sleeves up, to get out there and find people where they are instead of begging them to come to our sanctuaries so they can listen to our music and listen to my wonderful sermon, and then let me pray with them and send them home and hope they get it. I wanted to get right there in the thick of it all, and let's help them change their lives. I didn't see that fulfillment in the ministry the way I was doing it then. And God's like, I put that, and I realized God put that vision in me. God put that desire in me on the other side of the desert. That's literally what we're doing now, is rolling our sleeves up, getting out there and getting in the middle of everything. And it's funny. And coming to that was a vision. Again, God, what do you want for my life now? This is, everything's over. Do you want me to pastor again? I will. Do you want me to lead worship again somewhere? I will. You want me to do something else? I'm happy to do it. What do you want me to do? But these are the desires of my heart, and I don't want to just go back and do something I used to know. And God gave me a vision for my life. I started walking that thing out. And as part of that, again, without vision, you cast off the restraint. With vision, you start bringing in the proper restraints of, okay, this is where I want to go. So I need to say goodbye to that. This is what God's got for me. So we got to cut those relationships. We've got to say, no hard feelings. God bless you. Love you. Wish the best for you. I've got to go this way. We can't go that way. And vision does that. Vision gives you this picture of, this is where I need my life to go. And man, let's go get it.
Oh yeah. And one point you made too, is that even though everything pretty much fell apart for you, and it seemed like everything was just like everything in that season, the desert season, was just a complete wash. There were things that God had placed inside of you that you developed even coming through that, that were still needed to be part of your story. Like your leadership. You were a great pastor. People followed you because you're a great leader. You have a message to give out. The message may change here and there. I feel like it's at least most of the time it's the gospel, but it's encouragement. There are things with that. And so whenever you took the time to realize, okay, well, these, you start going back to familiarity, those were things very heavily involved in pastor and leadership and a message. But when you realize, okay, well, that's going the opposite direction, back in the desert sort of thing. And you kind of, again, yielded to what God was trying to show you. And he showed you the leadership. That was a great setup for Joshua Tree, because you step right in and I think you said before, you're not really a businessman, but you know business through leadership. And you have a message to give. We help people all the time, and we all learn from you that you tell them, hey, you have a purpose. You have things that you can do. People are telling you things you can't do. There are things you can do. And even through this podcast, it was started because you told me in our conversations that you felt like you had a message still to share.
Yeah.
And so just because you go through that season doesn't mean everything in that season is a complete waste. It may feel that way. I know it felt that way for me for a long time. But I think that's a good starting point for you coming out of the desert. It's like, okay, where do I go from here? Okay, well, look and see what are the tools you have to work with? What are your strengths that they may seem to be tied to a specific career or a specific relationship or whatever. But you can see that there are other things outside of that.
Yeah.
And I think one big key to that is having people around you that you trust and can lean on, that can speak into you. Because I know for me, I didn't see any of the things that people around me saw. Were like, hey, well, you're really good at this and this and this, but like, so, and I didn't feel that. I didn't think that.
Right.
But that kind of helped get my feet up under me to like, okay, well, let me try going after social media for a while and see how that goes. Because that's something that was ingrained in me is the social media aspect, the digital stuff, the technology things, like those are my cups of tea. And so once I lean into those things and God really started showing me, okay, well, here's this other path over here I never even saw before. I never even thought was an option to get me where I am now.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I appreciate everything you just said. Yeah. I mean, what's the old saying? Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater.
Yeah.
Right. There is a tendency that when you've been hurt really bad, if hurt and betrayal and just massive disappointment is part of your desert, and it typically those are commonplace things in most people's deserts. Most people don't just, have the time of their life. Oh, look at all the sand. Like, I'm here because like life fell apart. Somebody betrayed me. There's a trust that was broken. Hope was dashed. Plans fell apart. There is a tendency sometimes, and I was very guilty of this on the outside of the desert. I really, really was, of throw the baby out with the bathwater. I don't want anything to do with ministry. I don't want anything to do with preaching. I don't want anything to do with the church. I don't want anything to do with God. Like there was a point there where I was like, I'm done. I don't want to do any of this. There was anger inside of my heart. I'll dare say there was bitterness that was building up there. And as much as I was angry with God, I still loved him. I think the more angry you are sometimes, it's kind of funny how emotions are. In order to be massively angry at someone, there has to also be a deep affection for that person, because no one can make you madder than someone that you love, right? Sometimes, I mean, they have access to your emotions and responses, and that's not always the case, but yeah, there was that part of me that almost just want to throw it all away. And you talk about people, that season of my life, I was going to y'all's church and doing worship, got reconnected with you guys. The Lord put Rachel in my life, and man, just, I don't deserve that woman, man. I don't in any way, shape, or form. I mean, never met her before. Meet her on pretty much a blind date. Talked to her. I saw her on Facebook, but had never met her. Picked her up for the first time. Went and had Japanese. I think I told the story. I told her she looked like a girl that likes ice cream. Somehow I made it to a second date with that awesome pickup line. But her and she's got her own story. She's been through some hell. I mean, just straight up hell that she's walked through in her life. And she's one of the most positive people that you'll ever meet in your entire life, despite all of that. Like, she just has always had this optimism that the Lord's going to work it out. It's going to be fine. And so when I was working through that anger and mad, throw the baby out with the bathwater, I'm not doing any of this kind of stuff anymore. You know, she is lovingly and supportively just kind of just pouring back into me of, well, maybe right now the Lord doesn't want that, or maybe God's going to take some of those things and do something different with them and show you something else. And having those people like her, like you, like your family, to come in. When I met Chris became another person I had that poured into me and spent time listening to me just bellyache about things and complain sometimes, and would take those stuff and say, look, I know you want to throw the towel in. I know you're mad. I know you're upset, and you've got a right to be upset. And it goes back to vision. You've got to stay focused. Where are you going? What do you want to happen? Where do you want to spend the rest of your life mad? You want to spend the rest of your life telling everybody how wrong you were? You want to spend the rest of your life just watching everybody else move on with their life because they're going to?
Uh-huh.
You want to be successful? Do you want to be a good husband? Do you want to be a good daddy? Do you want to be able to take care of your kids? Do you want to make memories? Do you want to leave a legacy that your kids are going to look at and say, yeah, my dad made a few mistakes and my dad didn't do everything he was supposed to do, but you know what? He didn't stay down. He reconnected with the Lord. He stood back up, put his feet on the word, and went forward. And that's when I started getting the vision of what I want my kids to think about me, what I want. I mean, my parents sowed into me, what I want them. I don't want to waste what they put into my life.
Uh-huh.
That vision helped me go. And it was those people, those relationships. I had the vision of where I wanted to go, but God put people around me. God put people around you. God puts people around all of us. If we'll open our eyes and realize, may not be the people you thought it was going to be, may not be people that you've got a long-term relationship with, but it's people that God has put in your life that start speaking into you. I can talk about VR counselors, man, that I've just made connections with. We've got a counselor in Waycross, a counselor in Valdosta that I know I could call right now and we would talk for a solid hour, not just about VR stuff, but about life, because they saw something in me, even in the midst of all the stuff, and started pouring into me. And so I try to pour back when I can. It's vision and it's connectivity. But again, it all starts with, what do you want to see? What you get the chance now. Don't let the past tell you what your future has to be. You're done with that. You came out of that. Where do you want to go now? If it's a paper clip like Chris, and this is it. I'm done. I'm out. If it's all of a sudden me going, I walked away from a salary to take a zero salary position and not get paid for 2 or 3 months because I believe this is what's going to happen. Even before the desert happened, I was pastoring. I restarted 2 churches. One with 7 people, one with 12 people, with no money guarantees or nothing. Because when you have the vision of, this is what God wants me to do, this is what my life needs to be, there is something where you can just lean into God and say, okay, I get it. Let's go. Surround me with people and let's see where this thing goes. And that's what's happened with Joshua Tree.
Oh yeah, for sure. So I guess before we wrap up this episode, do you have maybe 2 or 3 like tips or even life verses people can use to, in the moments where they're trying to get their feeling back to them, but maybe they hit we're talking about hitting a wall one time a couple episodes ago. Maybe they hit a little wall or an obstacle where it's like, okay, is this worth pushing through? What are a couple of tips or applications I could have to help them keep going?
Well, I'll give a couple of sermonettes. How about that? So, we've referenced, the verse behind my head there, and it's all over our website, Joshua 1:9. That to me is a bedrock to start with right there, of just knowing God's got me. God is for me. where the verse literally says, wherever I go, like he's there. And so I think for me, for anyone else, I would say if you're getting ready to move forward, got a new vision, where do you want to go? What do you want to do? Go ahead and plant yourself in the reality. And I would say, again, I know we're talking to some people that may not have a faith in Christ. I'm going to tell you to go get one. I'm going to tell you to try it again. If you've tried and it failed, God didn't fail you. The church probably did. Christians probably did. Church will, there's almost no worse hurt in the world than church hurt sometimes. But that wasn't God. God didn't hurt you. And I know sometimes we make those synonymous, but they're not. And the desert helped me peel those things apart, which was a great thing that need to happen to me. But start with faith and start, because there is that promise that no matter where I go, whether it's in a boardroom in Atlanta for voc rehab, a vocational rehab office with people with a master's degrees in voc rehab counseling and all this kind of stuff, and CRC certificates, and I walked in there with ministry degrees and an education degree, not quite on their level. I mean, God is gonna put you in situations, and he's going to walk in there with you. If there are attacks coming from your past and stuff that you have to deal with again, if your faith is in him, now you're never going to walk into attack by yourself. He's there. So for me, that was the start. When I grabbed that verse and really, really honed in on it, it helped me. The fear was gone. I didn't walk in fear anymore. I didn't walk looking over my shoulder anymore. It was, he's got this. He truly, truly has this. Obviously everybody knows the verses, Philippians 4:13, do all things through Christ, all those kind of things, Galatians 2:20, but crucified Christ, it's him that lives in me, and those things. And those verses are amazing. But for me, one of the things I kind of always fall back to is the story of Elijah. And so I won't preach the whole sermon here. But in First Kings, you've got Israel, and they're kind of worshiping Baal, worshiping another idol. Elijah's pretty much by himself. King Ahab and his wife Jezebel, they're trying to kill Elijah because he's telling them, you're wrong. You can't live this way. This is wrong. And so there's this big showdown, Mount Carmel. I believe it's 1 Kings 16, is it 17, 18, 19, all there right there, and get up there on the mountain, and Elijah just says, look, we're going to decide whether we're going to serve God or serve Baal. I'm serving God, you're serving Baal. Let's figure out who the real one is. So prophets of Baal get up there. There's been no rain. There's been drought, everything. There's no water. They're running out of water. This is why everybody is ready to do this big showdown because, hey, we need some water. And they dance around, singing, hollering, cutting themselves. By the way, if you serve a God that makes you cut yourself, just find another religion. Okay. Can we just go ahead and say that right off the bat? Like, I'm sorry. Like, if there's a translation of scripture, that's going to be like, and you shall, slice and dice your arm and bleed for Jesus. Like, man, I don't think I want to do that. But anyway, they're doing this. Elijah is a smart butt. He's like, oh, maybe your God's asleep. Maybe he went to the bathroom. Maybe you should scream louder. Maybe you should cut yourself deeper. And of course, the prophets of Baal do that. Nothing happens because Baal's not real. And then Elijah shows up, and he prays this 63-word prayer, which I think is amazing because he didn't go on and 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 on, trying to get God's approval, trying to look like he knows what he's doing. And really, it's just like, God, I know you're God. Show yourself. Bam. By the way, before he does this, he takes all the water that they have pretty much left and dumps it on the fire or the altar, which makes it even harder to catch fire. And by the way, if you're going to take pretty much all the water that's left and dump it out, God better answer, because now everybody's really mad at you because we didn't have any water before. We sure don't have it now. You dump all the water, pray 6 3-word prayer. God answers with fire, consumes up the sacrifice, licks up the water. Elijah turns into Rambo, dude. you know, pull out the Swiss Army knife, puts the bandana around his head. Adrian, well, that's Rambo Rocky together. Hey, he probably did that too, and literally says one guy kills 400 people, man. I mean, just killed them, killed them. I'm just watching action movies here, blood running down the mountain. Brothers look, hey, like God's awesome, and everything's going great. And the rain's getting ready to start coming down and everything's great. And then like somebody comes and tells him, it's like, hey, Jezebel said that if you're still alive tomorrow, like it'll be a miracle. She's going to kill you. Brother just called down fire from heaven, killed 400 men by himself. And a woman said, I'm going to kill you where you stand tomorrow morning. And brother runs for his life, ends up in a cave, man, hiding. You kill 400 men. This is not to knock women, because women can be scary, man. You're married to one, so am I. But dude, you just slaughtered 400 men. And this one woman's going to kill you. And I'm telling this story to say this. You're going to come out of your desert. You're going to believe God's got you. You're going to be all positive. You're going to have a vision. God's going to surround you with people. You're going to have, I got this. And then something's going to happen. Somebody's going to say something. Some trigger's going to get flipped. Something didn't come through the way you thought it was going to come through. And inevitably, because we're all human, we go, I can't do this. I'm done. I can't. And we lose sight of the vision. We lose sight of where we are, and we run. But dude, here is the awesome thing for me. And I would put this out to everybody. Just because you lose sight don't mean you lose progress. And just because you lose sight of where you're going does not mean you've lost the progress you've made. Elijah ran for his life, but God found him there in the cave. And he didn't scold him. He didn't beat him down. He didn't say, dude, what's up, man? I just gave you fire. Why are you hiding? He didn't do that. And that's how God is for us. There are going to be the highs. There are going to be the lows. There are going to be times we're going to hide. There are going to be times that we're going to be disappointed. And the awesome thing about this thing is it is a journey. This is a marathon, not a sprint. See where you want to go. Aim for it. Try to make progress towards that every day. That progress sometimes might be checking off the side of the road, finding you a cave and sitting there for a minute, collecting your thoughts, letting the Lord minister to you, letting the Lord show you who he is. I won't preach the rest of the sermonette, but there's whirlwinds and tornadoes and earthquakes and still small voices and all of this. And God speaks to Elijah. Elijah kind of pulls himself up and is like, okay, I'm good now. Let's keep going. And he keeps going. So, we could throw out a whole bunch of verses. I'm a storyteller. For me, it's knowing God's got me, and then knowing that there are going to be huge accomplishments as you move forward in your desert or past your desert. If you came through divorce like me, God may have somebody else for you to start a whole another family with. If you've left a career, God may have a whole other career for you to start with. If you have had a health issue that has changed some things you're able to do, God may have a whole other thing for you to start focusing on now, and that you're going to find fulfillment in. And God may use things from your past to say, hey, you know what? I'm going to still let you do the things you used to do. It's just going to be a little twist to it now because you understand things differently. And that's that cave experience sometimes. So, yeah, for me, it's focus on the Lord, trust him, know his plans. Don't lose sight of progress or don't lose sight of your vision just because progress is stalled for a minute. And trust the process again. Trust the people around you. We talk about people around you. After this situation, Elijah meets somebody. His name's Elisha. Just a couple of chapters later, I think, Elisha shows up because God's like, all right, you need a friend. You need somebody else to pour into. I got you. You're cool. You can kill 400 guys by yourself. I'm going to give you somebody else you can hang out with. God knows what we need, man. So, yeah, maybe ultra spiritual for those that may be watching this and says, I don't know who Christ is and I don't have faith. But maybe, if nothing else, you're hearing this and you go, man, that would be kind of cool to know that God is for me like that, to be able to have that kind of confidence and faith. And if you are hearing that, then yeah, man, he's here. All I got to do is ask him, and he'll be there for you.
Well, for sure. And so if you're watching this and maybe you are in a situation where, and if you have questions, if there's the things you don't understand or things that you want to know more about, maybe you do want to know more about this Elijah guy or whatever, be sure to reach out to us and let us know through Facebook, for wherever you're watching this, comment down below under this video on YouTube or Spotify or wherever. Go to our website, thejoshuatree.org/podcast. And fill out the form. Let us know your story. You can let us know any questions you have. That's a multi-use form. If anything you want to do to contact us, you can use that form to fill it out and let us know how we can help you out. Because we are here to help you to grow and to move forward. Whether you're coming out of the desert, you're out of the desert, make sure you don't go back, or whatever the case may be. We're here to help you out. So thanks so much for joining us, and we'll see you next time.